All right, one more thing. Come on, go live. Are we going live, guys? Can you see us?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Come on, go live. Are you live? Go over here. There we go. No?
Yep, now you are.
Okay, there we are. All right. I am surrounded by my bestest friends for the night. And we're going to talk about something that really people don't really ever talk about, and that's really caregiving. Because caregiving, and of course, I'm literally the odd man out, right? I mean, because I'm the only man. So there you go. But the whole thing is that you girls, and I can call you all girls, even you, all you girls are raised to be what? Empathetic, always taking care of the others. And it's a great thing, that nurturing thing, right? And one of the things we found, and we're going to talk about it, is the fact that it is more than draining. It's more than draining. And it's something that doesn't come with a book. There's not a manual to how to take care of parents, how to take care of a spouse, how to take care of kids. I don't really care. And in this case, you've got to take care of an adult kid. But anyway, but I'm going to start out with part of my story in caregiving, because it's a hard one for me to talk about. And it's about my mom. And, mom's 97 and is the most amazing mom. Everybody had an amazing mom. Okay, I understand that. And you're all amazing moms. But our mom is the most amazing mom of all times. At age 51, she went back to college. At age 56, was a PhD RN. She raised 10 children. Incredible. She's a mother with a 5-generation family. She was part of a 5-generation because her mom lived to 102 and Aunt Lois lived to 106. And a few years ago, you'll love this, is that my sister and I were at Joe's Crab Shack, and I was kind of going through kind of names and things. And she goes, "Oh, you're asking me how long I'm going to live? 122. I'm going to go to 122. I go, "What?" She goes, "I'm going to go to 122. But I don't know about you kids." Now, she says this, Jennifer, while she's buttering a Joe's Crab Shack roll. And my sister and I have sticks and twigs, okay, in front of us. But she's 97. She has a dementia. But she lives in her own home. And we're blessed that the 10 of us kids, even though we live in 8 different states, are all on the same absolute page. We have a niece that's what I call boots on the ground, 24/7, even though I have cameras in every room and everything else like that. But we have, mom's been out like 3 years almost now on hospice. So she'll not go to the hospital, because if you know about that, you don't go to the hospital if you're on hospice. But my brothers and sisters are the most incredible kids, because every one of them each month gives up some time to come out and give our niece a respite. And we have not only the hospice that comes in and the CNAs that come in, but we also have a person that we have come in during the week, twice a week, to give a respite to my niece again. So that's one of the things that I know, but it's a hard thing for me to talk about mom, So that's part of caregiving. That's understanding what's going on. And mom feeds herself and she's lucid, and that kind of thing. She got a little pneumonia this week, but about 2 weeks ago, there was, of the 10 of us, there were 6 of us there, because Hawaii, California showed up. So that meant Florida wanted to show up, which so it's kind of a group weekend. But caregiving is a whole thing, and people, we need to have this conversation, because we don't really share that with people, do we? I mean, Linda, when you were taking care of the big boy, I mean, who could you confide in?
Yeah, well, for me, I had lost my mom right before my husband went into the diabetic coma and became a very fragile diabetic. And so I had lost both my parents at that point, so there was really nobody. Thankfully, we had an amazing pastor who actually is the one that got us into the business side of Unicity, Pastor Sam, and he was there. Him and his wife were very much there for us. Because when my mom passed away, it was she started to go downhill. We had her on hospice, and she started to go downhill, and it was James's birthday, and Pastor Sam brought food over, James's favorite food for his birthday, so we could celebrate his birthday. And luckily, she held on to the next day because I was like, "You're gonna have to change your birthday if it happens today." I'm just like, I can't do
Right,
that,
right.
But I didn't have time to like grieve my mom because it was a 1 month after that that James got sick, and then it just continued for 13 years, just in and out of
So
critical care situations.
have you grieved yet? Have you had the opportunity to grieve yet?
Yeah, I think that I have had time, time passes, and I don't like I think about her every single day, and not every day brings tears, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's a winning situation. There's just so many moments though that you just want to reach out, pick up the phone and say you are not going to believe what just happened, or this, that, or the other. And those are the times that I miss her, I miss my parents. I miss their wisdom.
Yeah.
Because even at 60, I feel like I don't have all the wisdom I should have. You know what I mean? So,
Okay. And so where with the mom's death and then the holy moly stuff that went on with the big boy,
yeah.
what was your emotional toll? What was some of that emotional taxing for you?
Yeah. Well, that the first time when we found out about the diabetes, he was in a coma for 5 days. And I um thankfully had surrounded myself with so many people that were helping me. I did not have you go into like survivor mode, that's what I call it, where you just boots on the ground, you put it like with your niece, you just do what you got to do because you got to do what you got to do, right? And I think as women we do that a lot. We just don't focus, like put the blinders on and just look at the task ahead. And I really had to do that, like, okay, we got to get through this one thing, we got to get this done, we got to get this done, and it's the steps that kept me, I guess, focused on getting him out of the hospital, getting, um but yeah, it was a big task, for sure, just trying to not dissolve into the trauma and not to just revert into yourself, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so
And Jennifer,
that
the
was hard.
logistics is something you understand that pretty well, don't you?
I do. I do all too well. Yeah, I definitely, when I'm in the caregiving role, and even if not in the same vicinity, I definitely go into, I call it business mode, where I turn my emotions off. This is the task. This is what we have to do. I can feel it later.
Yeah.
My downfall is that my feel it later tends to come out, either it drips out at inopportune times, we'll say. Um, my behaviors change a little bit. I forget that I need to take care of me first in every situation. And I tend to internalize until my body's just like, you need to let it go. So, I'm still a work in progress when it comes to that kind of stuff. But in the heat of the moment, it's definitely blinders on for me. Like, this is the mission, this is what we're doing. And maybe that came from being married to a soldier for so long that, you do the mission, you feel things later.
Mhm.
Sure. Good. Well, Mom, what do you what's your take on it? What kind of I trust me, if you don't know this wonderful kid up here, I can call her a kid because they're all kids. But how many did you give birth to at one time?
3.
And now was that in one day or over like 2 or 3 weeks?
One day, just minutes apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ladies,
Wow.
what's your thought about that?
About what?
She got 3 right away.
Yeah, well.
Better you than me.
Yeah. But we, like you said, Linda, is we do what we have to do, right? People ask me all the time, like, how do you do it? One, I've got the best support system. My husband's great. My family's great. They're all there to support. But I don't know any different. What's my alternative, when, especially with people that you love and that rely on you? What else? What other choice do I have? And it's great. I mean, I'm tired, and sometimes I don't get any sleep at night, but the kids still wake up. They need to be fed. They need to be taken care of. And so you do it.
Yeah.
And Cheryl, with mom. Let's talk about mom, because that was a stressful time to be a caregiver, wasn't it?
Yeah. My mom was in assisted living when COVID hit, and I could not go see her. I couldn't talk to her on the phone. We tried, but she was very hard of hearing. And so that was useless. I couldn't go see her. I couldn't have any communication with her. She was isolated in her room. They brought food up to them, everybody there. It was horrible because sometimes she understood, sometimes she didn't. One Christmas, I went over there. The administrator at the time was my stepsister. Her dad was married to my mom. And so she took my mom in the chapel, and there was a window there from the outside as you come in the door. It was a inside area. So she brought her to the chapel so I could see her, but I couldn't communicate with her. We tried it by phone, but no, she couldn't hear. But I got to watch her open the presents, and she just seemed so happy. But it was hard. It really was. They were so isolated. It was such a cruel thing they did to those people. She couldn't get her hair cut. She didn't see anybody except the person that brought her tray into the room or brought her meds. It was horrible.
Isn't solitary a punishment?
She really went downhill too. And she was a feisty woman.
Yeah, she was. She
And
was a spit and a half.
and and then it was her downfall actually. And then she fell. She fell after it was over. But it was so her 95th birthday was in March, and that was right as COVID was getting over. And so I asked them if I could bring a cake over, and they said yes. And excuse me. So they brought her down to the dining room before anybody else got in there. And so I got to take a picture of her with her cake. And the last picture I have of her and me is with that cake. And I asked them down there, I said, can I take this mask off? Because I don't want to have this the last picture of she and I together. And honest to God, she died. She fell and she died probably a month later.
Yeah.
So, and she spent the last few days in the hospice house, but
yeah. And so the whole thing is what type of the stress that you all have had, does it take a toll on you physically? Does it take a toll on you spiritually? Does it take a toll on you mentally? Is there any one thing that you'd like to, a cost that you'd like people to know?
all the above.
All the above. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, my husband my twin passed, and then my husband passed 5 years later. He was in the hospital, he had a stroke, 22 days. And I was in survival mode. There's a lot of things I don't remember. My daughter tells me, because there's times I was in survival mode and I just had to do what I had to do. And so, yeah, all the above, it just, do what you have to do. But I did get a very nice compliment from the nurses after he passed. They said, "You have been so strong through this." She said, "You have the admiration of all the nurses on this floor, the way you have handled it." So that made me feel good.
And what'd you say, guys? This is a thing I've always thought is that, and you girls are great at this. I mean, yes, you're strong, you have to be strong, but at some point in time, you have to exhale. You have to exhale for your own well-being. You need to get that out. When did you know? When did you know that you were starting to run on empty? Kia, when did you know that you were starting to run on empty?
Oh man, pretty quickly. I mean, I guess I didn't really understand what was going on because I just wasn't feeling well. I was always fainting, always feeling nauseous, always feeling like that my brain fog. I couldn't work out, I couldn't walk up the stairs. Everything was just really struggling. So, I mean, I knew something needed to change, but I had my labs done. I had my metabolism checked because I was gaining weight rapidly, and there's just no answers. So I'm like, I knew that there had to be something done. I just didn't know how or what to do. And when you don't have a choice, I just thought that I needed more sleep. I needed to eat. At that time, I literally would ask, am I drinking enough? Am I eating enough? Am I getting enough sleep? And the answer was always yes, yes, and no, but I couldn't get enough sleep, So I knew I was running on empty. I didn't have any answers on how to get out of the tank.
And Linda, you were with the big boy. I just call him James the big boy, but no, on the big boy, I mean, you literally were life and death inside of 30 days after your mom.
Yeah.
When did you know that? When did you realize you were running on empty, or did you not ever understand?
During that time, I don't know that I really felt it. It was probably more so 5 years later when he had the stroke caused by his diabetes, when the outcome was so uncertain, because I did not know. And I really became a caretaker then because when he came home from the diabetes, as long as we were managing his blood sugar, he was getting better. You know what I mean? Or we thought he was getting better. We know so much more now than we ever did. But with the stroke, he was disabled. And so the empty came very quickly to me at that point where I was like, I could feel myself. For me, it's food. Food is my addiction. Food is what comforts me. Um, and that's what I would turn to like all the time. Um, and then you just rapidly gain weight, and then you're tired, and then your joints hurt, and everything feels horrible, and you try to lose weight, and then sleep apnea came at me. Hormone issues came at me so hard, and it really came to a head once we moved down here to Florida. James had hit the hospital again, and I was depressed. Like I'm not usually a depressed person. Like I usually can pull myself up, and I'm strong and I just powered through. I've just always been that way. My parents just really instilled that into me, like take care of yourself, do this. This is what we do. My parents did not show emotion. Like I didn't get the I love yous very often. I didn't get hugs a lot. I knew they loved me, but I just always had to like do it for myself. You know what I mean? Like find it for myself. So in 2025, early 2025, when I got the flu, I thought I was gonna die because it was so bad, and I was okay. I didn't want it. I wanted it to happen, but I didn't want to cause it to myself. But I was ready for it to happen, and that was literal rock bottom. January of 2025 was rock bottom.
And Jennifer, what's your experience been on that? The whole thing that people really don't understand when you're in the throes of it. When did you feel that you were gotten to the bottom?
You know, when it started, I thought I had it all together.
Mm.
I really did. I was like, I've got this. This is the mission. You know, I can coordinate everything. Don't worry, I got this. And you know, I was overwhelmed all the time. I you know, had been on anxiety and depression meds for 16 years, and I thought I was happy. Of course, nobody wants to be in a role where you've suddenly shifted in life and you're questioning life and you're caring for adults. I was terrified. I didn't want to do anything wrong, but I went in with the wrong mindset. I went in, okay, I'm not going to parent you, and it ended up being pointed out I was parenting. So trying to understand that while you're feeling completely freaked out on the inside. You know, I also was on insomnia pills. You know, I still couldn't get enough sleep. And it really, you know, my brain fog was so bad. I was putting appointments on the wrong days on the wrong week. And I literally felt like I was on a hamster wheel and I couldn't get off the hamster wheel. And it's a very lonely place to be. Like Linda, I would turn to eating food. You know, I would order myself that pizza. And it's not, you know, in my mind, it wasn't just you have a slice of pizza. It was depending on the size, you eat half or 3/4 or the whole pizza, depending on your feelings that day.
Yeah, because you can't put that. I mean, there's not enough to worry about putting back in the fridge. I might as well. Yeah, it just.
You know what? When your stress is so high, your cortisol is so high, your emotions are so all over the place. I'm literally grasping at food. You know, people say grasping at straws. I was grasping at food, and then I was so tired, I was drinking pots of coffee every day. So I'm literally up and down all day long, trying to find the path. Going, there's millions of people that are doing what I'm doing, and why can't I just efficiently do this? They look happy. They got
That's
the
the key
plan.
word. They look.
Where are the plans?
They look happy, yeah.
You know.
So what's the biggest change you saw and that you felt as you've gone through these? What's the biggest where you were health wise or mentally, or weight's always been a pretty good thing for
Well,
you.
I lost weight. I'm the opposite. And when I'm stressed, then I just don't eat. So I lost quite a bit of weight. But there's times I wonder if I really grieve my sister. My husband died so close. And I still have my days, don't I, George? I really do. And, you know, there's so many, especially with my sister, because we were so close. Well, I do this, you know, with my husband too, that want to pick up the phone and say, oh, I got to tell her this, or I got to tell him this, you know, or I saw somebody, you know, from the past, and I just don't have that anymore. But,
Yeah, you do great though. You do great with that. Music, you know, sometimes with like your mom's gone, your grandma's gone, you know, Kayla, you've got some family that's missing. Sometimes just a song.
Yeah.
Just a song or a bird or a breeze is there. And so if you were talking to someone that's beginning a caregiving journey, be it a new mom, be it someone's have a traumatic issue with it health-wise, had accidents, and that are just declining health rapidly or slowly, it doesn't really matter. What would be something that you would, what a couple of things would you give someone in as having gone through, but you're not done. I mean, you guys, you do understand this is a continuum, right? It's a continuum that goes and then it comes back. It goes and it will not go away. It's not supposed to. So the lessons are there. What couple, 2, 3 things would you share with someone that you've learned having gone through this caregiving, be it traumatic, and I think giving birth to 3 people would be traumatic. Giving birth to anyone for me would be traumatic. So profitable, but traumatic. So what would be a couple, 2, 3 things that you would share with someone that's beginning a caregiving journey today? Whoever wants to go first can
I
go.
would say find out as much as you can about it. If you have like with my sister, I wasn't her main caregiver, but the Alzheimer's got involved in the Alzheimer's Association, and that helped a lot, because you get so much more information. And I mean, after my husband died, I went to a grief support group, and that was very helpful. Just things, be around people if you can. Don't isolate yourself. Don't isolate yourself.
And I think that was the hardest part for me, Cheryl.
Yeah.
I didn't know. One, I didn't ask. So my first thing I would share is ask your friends, ask your family.
Mm-hmm.
Have any of you ever gone through this?
Mm-hmm.
It for me, I was somewhat embarrassed. I also thought I could handle it on my own.
I'm kind of like that too.
And, it's to a fault, really.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And it wasn't until I had met you and George that I learned, okay, it's okay for me to, for example, come on these calls, be in public, ask questions,
Mm-hmm.
Learn different skills.
Right.
Because I thought, okay, well, I've been a mom. How hard can it be to care for my parents?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
But
it's a totally different ball game.
Yeah, and when in that Alzheimer's dementia, personalities change. Their personalities
they do.
change.
Oh, they do. Oh, they do.
Yeah.
So I would say ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I was scared to ask them.
Sure.
That I was living in the stigma of how I was raised. You don't project your business.
Mm-hmm.
You don't talk about your business.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happens in the home stays in the home.
Mm-hmm. And
for whatever reason, this one was so close to the vest that it was hard for me to say, I'm visually watching the decline of my parents before my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm terrified. Like, what if I find them?
Right.
What if this?
Sure.
Will I respond fast enough?
Mm-hmm.
And I found that it's, if I don't ask the questions, if I don't call the people that care, like George and Cheryl, and these 2 beauties that I don't know on your screen, but to me, they're on my right. If I had a question, if I needed something, and even if it was just emotional support,
Right.
I just need you to listen because I cannot think straight. I need to just feel it. Last night I was crying about my mom.
Yeah. It'll come and go. Comes and goes.
It does. But for me, when it comes, it is so big. And I'm like, but I'll get to you. I'll get to you. Nope. I'm here. I need to honor my little girl. And I need to just have it. Just have the feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. The part of that secret is to give yourself permission.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself permission. If you need to, I was telling Cheryl when I found out that my dad, 30 odd years ago, had cancer in October, And then we found out in November that Dad had cancer, and that they weren't going to do anything. And he was going to move in with Mom. I literally tore apart a couch in my office. I mean, tore it up. I mean, stuffings over here and boards over there, and it wasn't just a cushion against the wall; it was Hulk. And then I had a 16-hour drive. I was in the Myrtle Beach area, and Dad's, they living in South Dakota. That's 16 hours, and so I just left it. And the office, they took care of that mess. But you have to give yourself permission. It's okay to cry. It's okay to ball up on the floor. It's okay to go yodel. It's okay to do some of those things to let that energy go, or sit and pray and meditate and find that as well. So, Linda, what's your thought on those things?
Well, I think one of the things that I really learned very quickly is that if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of someone else. And so the days of like having someone come and sit with my mom so that James and I could get out of the house, because he was working nights and he would be with her during the day. I was working days, so I would be with her in the night. Neither one of us was sleeping much, which maybe attributed to his health declining too. I don't know. But I know that there was times where I had to just get out and take care of myself and not feel bad that I had somebody else come in and just sit with her for a couple hours or whatever. And luckily my mom stayed sharp to the end. Like she never had any signs. She was 90 when she passed away, but she had no signs of dementia or anything like that, except for one time in the hospital. And I think that was just because she was in the hospital. She'd kind of lost her marbles there, but she was fine when she got home. But you really, really have to take those breaks. You have to have the breaks. And I went to therapy after my mom passed away, and I was, it definitely helped. It helped with the grieving process. And with James and the caretaking, like just having people bring food over. I mean, that was such a blessing. That was such a huge blessing. So I think about that now. So like when there's a meal train or somebody needs something, I try to sign up, because just the blessing of not having to cook a meal when you're in the middle of everything is just a welcome, welcome blessing. And I was just thinking as you were talking about music, that's also very healing for me. And there's a song that I just heard recently that I love, and it says, "What if your blessings come through raindrops?" And I'm like, that is so true, because so many times, like, I'm so grateful for the time that I had with my mom and with my dad at their end of life. I was able to make the promise that you did not have to go to a nursing home. I took care of them. My dad actually died in the hospital, but he was never went to a nursing home. And I was able to take care of them and keep that promise to them of not having to go. And just the time I was able to spend with them. And I feel so blessed for that time. I don't regret a moment of it.
Okay. Julia, what in the world goes on inside of your world? How does this all play to you?
I mean, I think that I can reiterate what you lovely ladies have said, just be okay with taking the time that you need for yourself. That's very important. Like just being okay with being out here for an hour and giving the responsibility to somebody else for a moment. But more so than that, what really has helped me is to be involved with service and helping other people, finding my passion in owning and growing my business and just educating myself. I was in school to be an x-ray tech before I got pregnant, and I couldn't go back to school. When we found out we were having triplets, I was like, there's no way I can go back. And so just being able to focus on something that I'm passionate about and being okay with that and taking the time for myself to be able to do that has been refreshing. When I get to do this, like I can get off, and I know that I've just helped hopefully somebody, you know, it's been great.
So here's my question to all of you. What's something that caregiving has taken from you that you're fighting to reclaim or that you want to reclaim? All right. Linda, we'll go with you this time.
What is it taken for me? Like a lot of anxious moments. Like it amped up my worry button to the umpteenth degree. You know what I mean? Made me become less confident, I guess, and more unsure of like the future, which that was kind of frightening when you're like, I don't even, you realize how fragile the future is. I mean, when you're younger, you think you're invincible anyway, you know what I mean? But it really put it very clear to me that we are here for a time, a season, and so it really just, I guess it took my ability to dream a little bit, and see, like, I have a long life with my partner, because I don't know. I don't know if I do. I pray that I do, but
Okay, what did caregiving, what did it take from you?
Besides my patience,
Okay.
like you guys have said, it would be different with my parents or my spouse maybe, because kids, they're just learning. They need you for everything. But really, I just think for a long time it took my health, and that was really hard for me because I've always been active. I've always played sports, and it just to not be able to do those things for a short amount of time until I really started to get control and learn what my body was doing. It was hard for me not to be able to move the way that I used to be able to. And I thought it was just getting old. I mean, I had my triplets when I was 39. So
Pup. You're a pup. Excuse me. You're a pup. Getting old. She doesn't get to say getting old. We're happy that you thought you were getting old, but
hey, I had my daughter at 39 also.
but that's what I'm saying is that you wonder, like, oh my gosh, I'm not supposed to feel this way. I'm not supposed to not be able to close my hands, or I'm not supposed to be able to not walk up the stairs or change my workout routine because I can't do squats, So I'm like, I didn't realize I was going to feel this old before I was getting old.
There you go. Perfect. Well, Jennifer, what got taken from you?
It definitely took my confidence. And it actually brought into perspective my own mortality. Which, when you walk into that situation, you're trying to get settled, the dust kind of settles down a little bit, you start looking at your life. And, being 51, I was like, oh gosh, did I miss the boat? Where did the time go? Oh, okay. Here we go. So, for me, I'm very grateful for the ability to have been there for my parents. And still be there in a different capacity for at least one of them right now. I think it kind of took away my carefree feeling of life.
Yeah.
Where I didn't, like Linda, I didn't really put into perspective that how short life really is. Wow, you guys are bringing all the feels today. Good golly.
Sorry.
Hey, apparently they needed to flow, and I feel comfortable, and as my cat is also cleaning me at the same time.
So what did caregiving take away from you?
Basically, my peace of mind and security. Security. That's the big one.
Okay. So let's look at what did it give us? What did caregiving give you? Like perspective, strength, patience, gratitude, wisdom, purpose. What has caregiving given to you? or enriched inside of you, with you, for you?
Purpose, knowledge. I feel confident in my ability to help others from my own personal experience. I think a lot of times people keep the fact that they're caring for a loved one a secret. It's not something that, you can, if they choose to watch TV, they flip on the TV and they're talking about, hey, I'm a caregiver and this is what I'm going through, that come join me. Let's have a little, let's go have coffee together. Do you have somebody who can watch your parents for you? I definitely feel more wise, and I've had some really good teachers on this call who have assisted me through the process of remembering that I'm important too, and it's not just the importance of the person I'm caring for.
Yeah, and I've seen you grow. We've seen you grow so much, haven't we? I'm not going to cry. 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 And Linda, I remember I met you in Miami.
Yep.
I mean, you're like, you and the big boy. I mean, you're.
I could not wait to meet you because you're the only other person I had heard a story about that had a similar story to James. And I was like,
Yeah,
and you had a different outcome for sure. And I was just like,
he's-
I have to meet him.
he's one lucky guy.
Yeah, he's very lucky.
guy.
He's very lucky. James is never that lucky. Like he's been in the hospital 5-6 times, with diabetes complications, and so it's been a roller coaster for him. But because his sugars, when they get high, he just gets very sick, and so. But I think what it gave me, just caretaking in general, more so with my parents, is just a sense of gratitude, for being able to give back because they sacrificed for me and I was able to do that, for them at the end. Um, and just the simple things of taking care of them, helping my mom take a bath or whatever it was, um, just looking back on it, you're so grateful that you had those moments that I hope that she remembered, at the end, that she was thinking about that. And then for James, I really actually think it caused him a lot of angst. We had marriage issues until we started to figure out what was causing all his problems. And then things really started to change just in the last year, but for me taking care of him, I learned more patience. I learned to be kinder, gentler, because he it was hard for him to be disabled and not be able to button his shirt, or get his shoe on, when you're completely functioning and then you're not. And you don't know if you ever will be. It was very different. And it was a hard navigation road. But I think today, like just today, I did some things for him and he was like, "Thank you so much for helping me today." And it's just those little things, that means so much to me now.
Perfect. Okay, what is caregiving giving you?
Oh man, just you guys probably know, but just being parents and seeing these kids grow and be healthy. We're very, very blessed to have all three very healthy. I don't know what the stat is, but there's a lot of triplets out there that don't, one of them has autism, 2 or 3 or health issues. So we're very blessed that all 4 of our kids are very healthy. And I think just seeing them grow and catch up on all of the things, they're talking, they're getting into everything. But they've really given me a perspective of, they keep me young in a sense. They just keep me going, just going. They make me laugh, and just enjoy life. It's just too short. You just realize life is too short.
Yeah, perfect. Wonderful. You want to add anything?
No, just patience.
Okay.
So
if you were talking to someone that's feeling overwhelmed, then words matter to me, and I use the word overwhelmed, but I know you cannot be overwhelmed. because you can't be whelmed. So unless you can be whelmed, you can't be over or under it. So that's just my George Carlin take on it. Okay. It's also called comic relief. You can wipe your tears. But if you were talking to someone, what type of encouragement would you give them if they're just starting down this path and feeling overwhelmed, which I know you all have? What would you share?
If you need help, reach out.
Yes.
No, it's going to be overwhelming. Just reach out. Somebody, if you have a friend you feel comfortable with, you can talk to. Don't withdraw. Don't withdraw. In fact, when my sister was diagnosed, I started the grieving process because I knew what was going to happen to her. And my husband, I went down the basement one night and I just sat there. And my husband came down, my late husband came down and said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "You don't understand. You don't understand." And that was pretty rough time with our marriage because I withdrew from him because I was so focused on my sister. All my energy was going into her. And then, I mean, it was hard on our marriage, but, we survived it. And, but yeah, that's.
Okay. When Linda, what would you add to that?
I would say again, my spiel of you have to take care of yourself, whether that's getting a break, calling somebody on the phone, taking a walk, making a tea, just doing something for yourself, like get your endorphins moving. Somehow you gotta, get the endorphins working in your body. And that's where I was in January when I didn't have any endorphins working until I did, and that just made the hugest difference. Find a reason to smile every day. Get up, find a reason to smile. Like if you woke up today, you're here for a reason. God gave you another day, and my faith is highly important to me. And that's what really, keeps me strong. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me. My strength comes from God, and so I give him, most of the credit for that. But there are so many resources that you can reach out to. There's so many people that are willing to help, and there's so many of us that have been through it, and we know what you're going through, and some of us are still going through it right now, and so um, there is sunshine after the rain.
Right. And one of the things, wouldn't you guys all agree that we just want, when you have that, you want to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be given advice. You don't want the how to. Well, these do this, that. You just want to, we really truly want to be heard.
Yeah. Just listen to you.
Yeah, listen, just let me hear. And you don't need to give me back the, hey, I didn't, poppycock. Just sit back, relax, enjoy the story. Jennifer, where are you at with that? What would you say?
I will first say that is the greatest gift that you and Cheryl gave me and continue to give me, is you just allow me to be heard, and I know that I'm heard. And that feeling alone for me is the most warming on the inside, because I did for a long time, as you know, I felt very alone. I do have another sibling that just did not agree with what was happening. And I felt like I was fighting a battle that I couldn't fight without help. So, for me, I 1,000 times agree that even a short little walk, sometimes just being outside, feeling the sun, feeling the breeze. I've learned that the color green when you're standing outside is actually very calming. So sometimes I even just stand outside and just look at the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that probably sounds so silly to most.
No.
But it actually and you're just sitting there taking in nature. Now I understand when it's snowing, that's a bit of a challenge. So we, those that celebrate Christmas, you have a Christmas tree, admire the green. you know,
Kind of
um,
hard these days in Florida too, Jennifer.
yeah.
Man,
Amen for palm trees, just saying.
right?
Um, the one thing that I did find on my journey, and I listen to a lot of their calls. So obviously you're anonymous. Is something called the Caregiver Action Network. They are a great resource. They are 100% free. They have taught me a lot of things that George and Cheryl have taught me along the way, like long-term care insurance. There's different things about medical powers of attorney. And they do these calls for free and they're recorded. So if, I can't watch a call, I make sure I'm on their email list. They'll send me the recording. And if anything, it's not only for the moment of caregiving, but it's for the moments when I am older and I require care.
Mhm.
And, I'm shifting the way that I feel about me and the rest of my life, and how can I better prepare for when I am in that stage that my daughter will be equipped.
Mhm.
Yeah. Kenny, what do you got? Where are you at with some of that?
I think more leading on to that, Jennifer, is that if we take care of ourselves now, I always say that what I do now is preparing myself for what I am like in my 80s. Right. And I think that's been the biggest blessing for me, is learning about metabolic health and learning about what I can do now that's going to make a huge difference. You can either continue to eat the junk that's out there and start to hunch over and get sick and not feel well, or you can learn how to take care of your blood sugar levels. You can do what you can now in order to, for longevity. And that is one thing that I would tell someone in my case, and it's never too late. Learn about it, learn about metabolic health, learn what different foods. I was 39 when I realized that rice was sugar and pasta is sugar. And my mom was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in 2011, and I remember asking her, like, which one are you, type 1 or type 2? Like, why don't we understand this information? And I just knowing that helps me take care of my kids, my family a lot better, having a better mood, having the no brain fog, having no inflammation, because I can run around, right? So with all of the things that are stacked up against us these days, it's so important for us to know what our metabolic health is doing, because we don't want to add that on top of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So let's do what we can now, no matter what part of life we're in, for longevity, for the next 5 years, 10 years, how many years. Let's start now. So
Perfect.
that's what I would tell someone.
Perfect. So I know, and just those of you that are watching maybe the first time, 2 of these young ladies are way past their bedtime.
Hello.
East Coasters. East Coasters.
Us East Coasters. My phone's about to die too, so he's like.
There you go. So let's I'll give each one of you, starting from the East Coast, a moment to talk about what you've done metabolically, how you changes that you're personally doing, what you would recommend or what you've noticed, and what you've changed. So, Linda, you ready to fire up it?
Sure. So since I started learning about metabolic health, the changes for James and I both have been amazing. And the very first thing that I noticed was my happiness. My cortisol was going down and my endorphins were going up, and I started to feel happy again. Like I came out of the dark cloud of scariness. And I started to lose some weight. My joints stopped hurting. I was like, what in the world? I started sleeping through the night. I stopped having hot flashes and night sweats. And I'm just like, what is going on? This is crazy. And just energy through the roof, and just a joy for life again. And I don't know. It was just like, it's been the best. Last year has just been the absolute best. And of course, we don't do it perfectly. We're still learning how to eat better. Food is still, it's still a struggle at times, but we're doing fasting and things like that. So we're doing most things right, not everything right, but a lot right. And same for my husband. He's seen a lot of improvements in his health since he started. So
All right, Jennifer, the other East Coaster. Well,
Well,
now
I'll
you're
tell you.
no, you're
she's
just
Mich-
barely East Coast.
she's-
You were East Coast. Now you're still East Coast.
I
So,
am. It's all about being on the east of the United States. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Time zone.
So for me, I mean, I was dealing with high cholesterol, insomnia, brain fog, tinnitus, arthritis, plantar fasciitis. You see my rhythm? I'm
You
an
got the
itis.
Itis brothers.
Like rap.
I had the
Same
itis
here.
twins. I'm sorry,
Yep.
the itis triplets.
Yeah.
I also was like Linda. I was going through menopause, the hot flashes, the night sweats, the achy joints, the teeth sensitivity. That was the one that really blew me away. Outside of my brain fog, which I thought I was just aging. I was also told, I thought menopause was going to be fantastic. No more buying supplies, no more scheduling on the calendar to make sure you hit your 8-day cycle, right? And I didn't realize that, it was the mood swings. Happy, mad, sad, and glad, all within like a 5-minute period of time. And
Happy mad.
no
what?
energy.
Happy mad. What? Happy mad.
Sad and glad.
Okay.
Happy, mad, sad, glad, angry. I mean, it just like this, it would just come and go.
Wow. Okay.
And it would come and go in the strangest spots, at the line at the grocery store. How are you? I am not good. And then, okay, well, you have a good day too. And you're just like, what just happened?
Yeah.
It's almost like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation. And, I have found that those menopausal symptoms do not have to be the dark doom and gloom. And that is such a freeing feeling as a woman. Okay. I don't have to waste the money on the supplies anymore. I'm not tracking anything. I'm not flaming on at random times. I'm not waking up sweaty. And I'm also not frequenting the facilities 3 or 4 times a night as I'm trying to flush the sugar out of my system. I mean, for me, I literally drink a tea that has changed everything for me.
Perfect. Mom, young
Yeah.
mom.
Right. Just having the energy. Since I've been focusing on my metabolic health, I've been learning a lot, but I love fasting. I've tried fasting before, and I've finally been able to stick to it for the last few months, over a year and a half or so. And I feel great. And like, my family knows, they're on board. Instead of being out and about or thinking about dinner and being like, I can't have that because, sorry if there's any ketoers or carnivores out there, it works for people, but not for me. So it's nice that I'm just fasting. I can eat what I want to for dinner with my family at a certain time. But it's, just learning about metabolic health and incorporating the things that I've learned. The protein, ever since I've upped my protein, my muscle mass is starting to come back. And just my education, like, I feel like I'm in school, just growing. Like, I love it. I listen to podcasts all the time. I get into contact with such great people like you folks all the time, and it's like, wow, this to be able to help other people understand what metabolic health is been great for me. I'm in a spot where I just love to educate people and talk about it all the time. Even my husband was diagnosed with prediabetes, and we both have type 2 diabetes on our sides. We've seen loss, we've seen amputations, we've seen lots of lost with that. And so, and he's no longer pre-diabetic.
Perfect.
So for me, I'm like, I just can't be happier. We are on a good track, so we're gonna keep going.
What would you throw out there to wrap us up?
I've always had a lot of energy. Ask him. At my age, I have good health. I just want to make sure I keep my good health, because there's a lot of people my age that don't have good health.
Amen.
Yeah.
There's so many people my age that don't. And I just want to stay healthy. And with the Alzheimer's, I want to keep my brain active and
Great. So we've talked a lot about caregiving, and with one story that we didn't get to, he wasn't able to get on, is that he was caring for his mom, okay, out of town, and lost his marriage. And so at the end of mom, cared for another person across the street. So when we start talking about things that can happen, there's a lot of things that can happen. But caregiving is a blessing that you all do freely. You didn't get a guide. You're inspired and told. So the last thing I'm going to ask is, Linda, what is your handle? How can people find you on one of the platforms?
On TikTok, it's Linda Davis 723. Facebook, I have a Facebook page. That's also just under and I can't remember the exact title of my business page, but my other one is just under Linda Davis, which I know there's a lot of those out there, so it's kind of hard to find.
Look for the smart Linda Davis. Okay.
Yeah. So, but on TikTok, it's 723s at the end of it, where I post a lot of my videos on TikTok.
Okay. Jennifer?
Well, you can find me under Jennifer Ellis, which there apparently are multiples of me. Or you can look on all three platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, under Genuine Health.
Perfect. Thank you. And Mom?
Kia. TikTok, I'm Fast Mom Life 81.
Fast Mom Life 81.
Yes. And then you can look at there, you'll see my other links, because it's under Kehea Kawo, but that's kind of hard to remember. So
yep. And I'm the Metabolic Grandpa. There you go. So ladies, I love you. You don't know how much I love y'all. And how much this helped me today. You guys helped me today. Because I was just with Mom yesterday. Okay. So, and it's 100 miles from here one way. And I'll see Mom again Wednesday. But it means the world that I get to share and listen to you guys, your generosity in that. So I'm going to say have a great week. A couple of you need to get to bed because you're past the time. Moms need to go it's about dinner time for the other guys. And I'm not sure what go that way. Okay.
Well, thanks for having us, George.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Love you.
Bye.
All right, bye.